Um, what's up, y'all? It's Jax. My name is Jax Barber, for those of you who don't know me, and welcome to my channel. So I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Start a channel to talk about racial injustices, racial inequality, white privilege is a huge one. So welcome, and this episode I kind of just want to tell you a little bit about my background, what I hope to accomplish with this, and how I was inspired to get here. So I'm from a very small town in North Carolina called Spruce Pine, and it's exactly that. Super small. Everybody knows you. Everyone knows your business. Everyone knows your family's business. Everyone knows the mistakes you have made. I loved theater and dance growing up, and it was my goal to move away from there at some point because I was kind of tired of that groupthink of a small town. And I was just ready to get out. I was ready to be in a place that was more diverse, a place that was more accepting of people and their circumstances and their beliefs and their hobbies and their likes and dislikes, and most importantly, the color of their skin. So where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of black and brown people. I don't really remember graduating with that many, maybe one or two. And what I've recently realized is I really didn't get a lot of education about black and brown people. For instance, like we learned about Martin Luther King, and I think mostly because he was a peaceful protester and a man of God, and he was safe. I didn't really learn a lot about Malcolm X, Angela Davis. It was kind of limited, my education, to white history, and I don't think that was a mistake. I think looking back on that now, it was something that was planned from generations back. The school system's been in play for a while now, so it's just easy to stick to the same and not grow with the times changing, and also to just not talk about what made white people look bad. Racism wasn't talked about really in my home. Racial inequality wasn't discussed. White privilege didn't even have a title then. I was raised to respect people. I was raised to be kind to others. I was raised Christian. So, a lot of those examples were set in that way, but never really probably ever talked about race. I didn't really know what privilege looked like. I didn't really understand the difference between racism and prejudice. I'll say this, I was never prepared for conversations around race. I was never prepared for what my own prejudices would bring about in myself towards others and how to deal with that. I really loved film, and I wanted to be in films and be an actor in that way, so I followed that. And my friend at the time lived in Atlanta, and she was like, come here, it's getting really big here. You would probably do well. So I moved to Atlanta. I meet my husband, at the time was not my husband, obviously. He was black. While dating him and getting engaged and getting married, I started discovering my prejudice. And it was hard in the beginning because, I said to him once in a fight, I was like, I'm not racist, I'm dating you. And it was tough because he had to tell me that didn't matter. He had to get me to understand that didn't matter. that it wasn't about how many black friends I had or brown friends I had or black and brown men I had dated. It was about prejudice that had been ingrained in me from a very young age, from the community I grew up in. The TV I watched, the books that I was told to read in school, the education I got in school, all of that kind of built this virus in me of prejudice. And so, for no reason I could really identify then, because I hadn't been, there was no reason, nothing had happened to me from a black or brown person that was dangerous or criminal. So for me to already be uncomfortable walking down the street from a black person, or walking down the street and passing a black man or brown man or whatever, feeling uncomfortable, that's my prejudice. That's something that was ingrained in me to feel unsafe from. And I think that was, that came from, we would drive through nice neighborhoods or bad neighborhoods, and my mom would be like, this is a bad neighborhood. Or like if we were walking anywhere, like on a trip, in a place that was considered poverty, like that was something that was, my mom would feel tense, and I could read that, and so I would go, oh, okay, well, this is a dangerous place. So immediately the problem of poverty equaling crime became an understanding of mine. So yeah, so after being with Josh for almost 5 years now, it's like I really realized a lot of prejudice within myself. More and more moments like that started happening where I would say something and he would be like, why did you say that? What did that come from? And I would have to think about it. Think about where it came from, why it was something I said, why it was something I thought. Find the wrong in it and work to change that way of thinking in myself. And that just happened over and over and over and over again. And it was painful because it was like, man, I don't even consider myself racist. I have nothing against black and brown people, and here I am discovering these things that I have in my mind, or these thoughts that I think, and just racial profiling that's been ingrained in me like a virus, and it comes out, and I had a hard time coming to terms with it and learning from it, and not getting defensive about it. And I think that, all of these things have led me to just, I see it everywhere. I see it in my family and my friends and the people I work with. My hope from this is that there are people out there that want to be educated on these things, that want to change, that want to talk about it. My hope is that the people that have a hard time talking about it open themselves up to talking about it and putting themselves out there, making their life a little uncomfortable so that they can do what's better. They can work towards the greater good of humanity. The fact that people don't think this is a racial problem bothers me. I've been silent for too long as far as talking about it outwardly. I have my conversations with my friends, my family. I try to talk about the injustices, the problems that we are facing. I try to do my part, but I'm not doing enough, and I realize that. And I wanted to do more. And I only hope that this vlog brings awareness, creates drive to help this community that is suffering from this oppression.